Hi there, Symes here, and welcome to this little guide on the looper. And I am guilty of avoiding this, and other guide creators are too, including the devs, because it can be quite involved and it's a bit scary. So yeah, have mercy, here goes. So yeah, press your Y button and bring up your interface, go to the playhead, and you'll see the looper sound right down there on the left-hand side. Use your grip button to bring that out, or just select it, and there it is in all its wonderful inert state, waiting for information from me. Now, what information is it waiting for? It's waiting for the tempo, the speed of your track, the beats per minute, which we call the BPM. Lots of words for the same thing. And we can do that in one of two ways. We can do it manually, or we can do it automatically. So let's look at manual first. So back to the Y button and the track settings head, and there's your tempo set to 0. It's not doing anything. So we'll set that to manual, and I keep the haptics off. If you want that physical tempo indication, then turn that on, but I've got it off. Now default is 120, and yeah, she's ready for us to start. But we're going to do this automatically because we don't know what tempo we want. We just want to create our own. So let's bring up the M pads there and select a kick drum and whiz that to us by pressing the A button and grip to resize. There we go. I'm just going to put that on 1/4 and explain that later. So yeah, so like I said, it's waiting for the tempo. And how do we do that? So we I've still got it set obviously to manual. Now it's off, it's back into its inert state. So how do we do that? Basically, the first thing we need to do is arm. So it's ready. Now to start the recording, we hit the pad, and to finish, we hit the looper, and the time distance between the two is what sets our tempo. So for sport, let's see how close to 130 we can get. Let's look. 117, nowhere near.
Emotional, damn it!
But yeah, as you can see, that it's recorded a loop and it's put it down here in what I call the stack, the loop stack. It's not a group. It's where everything you record goes for you to position. Now you can detach those two with your grip button. Out of interest, you can also put it back again, but let's just detach that and make that a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, so what have we just done? We've set the tempo now, and as you can see, the tempo is now 117, and that's good enough for us. Okay, and automatically it goes to, or by default, it goes to auto. Okay, so yeah, this is where it all starts to get a little bit more technical, but I'll try and keep it as simple as possible. What you can hear are the beats per minute. That's 117 beats every 60 seconds, okay? And the looper has done that for you automatically. But now we've done that, we need to forget it, okay? And switch to number 1. We now have all these numbers up here, and they go from 1, and you just click through, and it goes up to 32, and it goes down to auto, but it goes down there to a quarter. A quarter of what? A half of what? Twice what? Yeah, it's of 1. So you have half of 1, a quarter of 1, 2 is 2 times 1, 4 is 4 times 1. So what the looper has done automatically for you is created what they call the measure of time, or the bar, we call it in Europe, but in America it's and other places it's the measure. Now we're in 4/4 timing, okay, so that's 4 beats, and each beat has a count of 1. Now there is this visual cue for you here going round, and as you can see, it starts at the top, it goes round again, so we can count, because the looper knows you're in 4/4 timing. Okay, there are 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 equally spaced beats in that one measure. Now, completely forget now about the BPM. It's just going to confuse you. You're now thinking about this one measure. Everything you do in Virtuoso from this point forwards is about this one, either a division or a multiple of that one. Okay, so now we've created our BPM, we can get into what the timing of the looper actually does. And I've brought a visual aid with me. See, I told you it was complicated. So this shows what these loop lengths are all about. Your mindset now needs to be on the one and nothing else. Basically, your whole track is based around this benchmark, which is one measure or one bar, one measure of time. That revolution there. So let's get the BPM going again. So you can actually see the timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4 timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So now you can see the visual aid of the circle revolution on the outside. And that is set to play every quarter, okay, which is this, every quarter, okay. So when you record, when you're set to a quarter, the looper will only record from here to here, okay. It doesn't record anything else on that measure, just from there to there. That's a quarter of your measure. It'll record and then loop it around. So there you go, just like that. And it's the same with the half. So when you record with the half, it'll record from first position through to halfway and then stop recording and then loop. So it feels like it's a whole measure, but it isn't actually. So let's do that. Let's take this and let's find a snare, shall we? I want one of my snares. So yeah, there's one. So we're set to a half. Okay. Hit the really big looper. And let's just slide that into there. So now you can see, put that back on 1, how often it plays in a measure. There. We only hit it once, made one sound. So it's played it and then played it again. So you've now got your half, just like that. And it's sense, and then let's take that out. And that's what the half does. Okay, so now we're going to record on the 1. So what does the 1 do? It just records 1 bar. It lets you record a whole bar. Now I'm going to cue it without playing. And you can see that the playhead's still going round like that. So when you play it, that turns red. And basically you can record that entire bar, what you want in that entire bar. Now if I go to the settings here, you can see there's an overdub setting. So when it reaches the end of the recording length of 1 bar, you can keep on recording over the top. It'll already start looping for you and record over the top. Or you can turn that off, so when it gets to the end of the 1 bar, then it stops recording automatically. So let's just get rid of that. And let's record a clap. Let's pull another one out of there. There. Oh, it was recording. Right, so yeah, click and restart if you're happy. Okay, so now we're going to record. It's waiting, it's armed. Okay, we're going to do it. And stop. See? And let's slide that in here. It's gone into the pink there. See, it only plays on the 1 bar. And around again to there. Okay, so let's delete that. Let's go to 2 and do exactly the same thing. And you'll see now it'll go around. It's really slow down. It only plays the top again. The radial is now playing 2 bars. Okay, so there's the 1 bar. Let's go around twice. Miss it, go around, and it'll come again. 2, and that's what it does. And the same with multiples of 4, it'll go around 4 times. I won't show that, you just trust me on that one, we'll be here forever. So that's what that does. We're back on 1, and let's get rid of that. We don't really want that. Let's leave it. Okay, so that explains what the loop length is. Now let's go to auto. So what does the auto do? Basically, the auto lets you ignore all of this. The main reason for the auto is when you're playing the instruments. If I bring the board over here, if I want to play a piece, let's get these going. If I want to play a piece and I don't know how long it is, and I don't want to accidentally overdub, or I don't want my recording to stop because I've set it to something higher than 1, the auto will let me do that. Okay, so if I just play something, okay, we don't necessarily know how long it's going to be, so let's just do it. Let's set that. There's a bit of a bug going around at the moment. When you arm it, it automatically stops. Let's try again. Keep an eye on that. So we don't know how long this is. That loop there, let's pull it out so you see how slow that is going round. Okay. So that's what auto does. That explains the loop length and what it does with the visual aids. So we're back here on our original setup here, and as you can see, we have our looper here, and we're set to 1, and then the revolutions. We've dealt with the loop length and what that does, so now let's look at the settings. So let's just click that settings button here, and you see these are just basically your settings so that every time you record something, it keeps those settings, so you don't have to go into each individual one and set what they are. Now, if you look at my pads tutorial, you'll see what all of those do, but that is just literally so that when you record something, it's automatically set in this loop rack here. So this brings us to these two here. So the overdub when using fixed length, so we're on 1, let's do that, and to do that let's bring up the board, let's play that, let's get a beat going. So we have the board here, and let's detach that and bring it over. And if first we turn that off, okay, so what it's going to do is going to record that 1 measure and then automatically stop. Okay, so let's arm, let's do it. Okay, so it stopped itself when it reached that. Let's just try that one. Let's do it again now with it on, and you'll see that the recording head carries on going. See, now it's still recording. You can sit around, chill out for a minute. You don't have to do it straight away. It's only recording that same period of time, that 1 measure. Now we can go over it. Put the relevance in it. And it's going to be relative to where the position on that playhead is. And the second one here, I think only 3 people in the whole world know what that does, and they all work in the same office. I'm not one of them, but I do await to hear, and it's very interesting. I've actually recorded entire tracks with that on, and I don't know what it does. That's my bad, but yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that. So that's the settings, loop length, and the settings done. So let's bring that fella back over here and deal with the rest of that. Like I said, this is the loop stack. So when you record loops, they automatically come in that stack until Virtuoso decides that it's going to create its own group for you. And so let's do that. We've got a beat going there. We don't need that. We want the board. Oh, no, we don't. We just got rid of the board. We want the empads. There we go. So let's put a snare on. My snare away. There they are. Let's use that one. And we're going to set it to a quarter. We're going to set that to an eighth, and we're going to try and get an offbeat snare. I'll explain all that in a minute. With visual aids, you'll be excited to hear. So that's going. So we've got 2 in there. Now let's get some cymbals. Now to get rid of your pads there, just hit that, and then every pad that you've got out there disappears. Pad, not pads. So let's go for a close head. Now it's got open. And I want to record this on auto because I don't know how long I want to do it. See, it automatically created its own group, and now it's asking you, do you want to convert it to a user group? If you don't do that, everything you record will come into the loop stack here, and then automatically go over the top of that, and everything gets really, really messy. So just convert that to a group. Okay, you can now arrange that with this here. By default, that is on, so when it's created, it zips over here, and you can't move that. But if you just click on the arrange like that, and then grip that, you can move that entire group on a 2D plane. Don't put it there, because then you're going to cover your loop stack, and don't put it there because the auto-generated groups position themselves there. Well, actually they position themselves here, but yeah, so somewhere around there. Okay, so that's what that does. Now, watch when I delete the group. Watch what happens. It automatically goes back into the loop stack here. So then you can add your own group. Put that in it, and then position out of the way somewhere. This is okay here because it does go over here when they're auto-generated. And that's what this all does. Now, this is something I need to mention to you. If you delete that out of there, everything resets and you have to set your BPM and everything all over again. But I'm going to add to that now. Actually, this is probably not the best way to do that. Let's go for the board. Delete those empads. Go for the board. I want to show you something. I'm going to record this on auto. So there's a definite start, a definite end, and it loops. This is what I want to show you. If you stop it from the main button there and then press play again, it doesn't reset the loop. It only plays it from where you stopped it. So in effect, it's not a stop and reset, it's just a stop pause. So you can play again, which is fine if you're in the middle of a composition and you want to do an arrangement where you stop everything and then start it again off beat or something like that. But you need to know that for when you're creating, because if you stop your loops and then try and record in time with them, you're not assuming that you're at the beginning, you're actually not. So to reset your loop, see, stop it here and then start again, it does start and reset. And the same with the pad. Yeah, that's really important to know because you can mess with your timing, and I know some people have had issues with that. We're not, or I'm not 100% sure how those issues are caused, but I think it does cause issues. So let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of that, not that. And that sits back in there. So that explains what happens. And now every time you record, it goes in there. It goes into a group, auto group. You can then position, or you can add groups yourselves, and then arrange it from there. And that's the settings. But what we need to look at now is when you record. And let's just release that from here. And I'm just going to record something now on auto. Okay, now that's running. Okay. Even when I've done that and I've cut that little stem there, I have the opportunity to re-record. I just press that and it disappears, and I can do it again. And if I'm happy with it, I just leave it and just move on to the next thing. Don't do anything with it. But let's record that on one. If I'm not happy with it, I can then cancel the whole thing or just restart. What you can't do is then overdub and then roll back from that overdub. It's still just one recording. So if you press restart, you'll lose everything. So you need to be aware of that when you're recording, that if you get really in depth into it and you've got like 5 or 6 layers on the same loop and you mess up at the end, you're in trouble because you're going to lose everything by restarting. Maybe one day there'll be a rollback, but right now there isn't, and you just cancel that by just hitting it. And that's pretty much everything you sort of need to know really about this. But obviously the recordings here have their own settings of colors and whatnot. Once again, my video on MPads goes into all of that, and obviously clicking on to rename things. It's all very straightforward, not much confusion out there about that. And the ability to solo tracks and to mute them as well inside there. And yeah, that's that. And it's no avoiding it any longer. We have to talk about the relationship between the timing of the recording and the timing of the instruments. Yeah, it's very important to note that these two aren't really related. The quarter here only represents the recording length. It doesn't represent anything to do with what you play within that. So even though the figures are the same, they're not related at all. So yeah, that'll put your mind at ease a little bit. So what is this relating to? So when we had our BPM set, we had a beat going. So let's put that back in there. Let's set this at a quarter, okay, like we did originally. And let's hit the R and play. And then I can slide that in there so you can see it. Put it back on 1. So now it's playing on every quarter. Okay, and let's stop that. But you see, because this is set to a quarter, it'll only play the quarter beats, the quarter notes. It won't play anything else, no matter how hard or fast you try and hit it. It'll only play the quarter. Okay? But if you set that to the 8s, it'll play not only these quarters, but also the 8s here, the offbeats. Yeah, and I'll represent that by, let's turn that back on. Represent that by, let's put a snare in. I'm going to keep it on quarter because I only want to record that section where I don't have to do it 4 times, or I half do it 2 times. I just want to do it once. Okay, and we're set to an 8 because we've activated those. It doesn't mean only play the 8s, it means activate the quarters and the 8s. Okay, so when you do it, and let me put that, finalize that, put that in there. Put it in the half, it needs to go here, the 8s. And we'll stop that so you can see. Go back to the 1 measure. Bang, 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 bang. See, it's only showing on the 8s. And then we'll put the quarters. Okay, that's what that does. So let's click it up again. And we'll play the 16ths. Once again, not only the 16ths, but the quarters, the 8s, and the 16ths. And if I was to grab a hi-hat, closed hi-hat for this one. So now you can hear there's lots more beats in there. Okay, and we're going to do that. We're going to record that now. I can record on a quarter or a half, but I'm going to record on 1 because I want to really. Because I missed the 1 beat to give it some style. Let's keep that. And let's put that into the and shut everything else off. Now it's playing on every 16th, so it's the quarter, the 16th, and the 8th, apart from the one that I missed, just to give it some texture, all the way around. And we're back into it. Oh, I don't have anything on the half. So that is the relationship between the tempo sync and the loop itself. And you can go all the way up to 32 where you can actually play. Let's pick an open one. Play 32, so there will actually be another in between each one of these. I just haven't gone that far. If you wanted to do that, and I don't think you can go to 64 anymore, but no, but then you can go to 12 and 24, which is more of an offbeat. Or turn it off, and it then has no relation to the beat whatsoever, and you can just play freestyle. Totally out of tune. Just like that. So that's the relationship between this and that. Let's just get rid of that. So you've got your tempo sync automatically disengages when you're off, because you've not set to go with the tempo. So when you have the tempo, the sync late hits on, if you're late with your hitting, it'll reposition everything. So it's actually on tempo. So you don't have to be exact, because this is like a digital app, of course. And it really wants you to be exact, but in reality, in human life and real musicians, the timing is never always perfect, and that'll sync you up. Yeah, so that's the relationship between those two. Thanks to my visual aid. Congratulations, we made it to the end. So let's use everything that we've just talked about, and let's actually just create something and sort of have some fun. So let's set to a quarter here and a quarter here, and let's get a beat going. Okay, so that's setting our time. Yeah, let's go back up to a half, and let's do a snare going on. Yeah, do that. And now we're going to up that to the 8th notes, so we can do an off. So that's a quarter. Let's do it again. There we go. And then we're not up to 16. make some pads quickly. Is it too many? Besides, put it there. There we go. That'll do. Okay, let's stop. Stop that. Yeah, let's do it. That's it in action. So I really hope, I appreciate this is really complicated stuff, and I really hope it helps. And yeah, have fun, be creative.